Is the meeting open yet?
I hear you.
There are about 15 or more people here at the East Side City Hall waiting to get into conference room A for the meeting. And there's no one here and it's locked up.
Shoot, I'm not. Who? This is John Beal from the city of Tucson. And who was I speaking with?
We're speaking with Charlene Baker. There's supposed to be a meeting here tonight for Ward 2, Conference Room A regarding a rezoning.
So I'm not sure. Correct. So the rezoning, I know that hopefully there will be someone there from the ward office, but I do know that that it appears that it will be the case, because I think with the ward office and the applicant and some neighbors, and I'm not sure, you know, are requesting a continuation for the case to be heard on August 4th. So I'm not sure why the ward office wasn't there, you know, to let people know that, because I remember them saying there were going to be people there. So hopefully but the case will be continued to August 4th.
So there's no meeting tonight. It's August 4th?
That's correct. The meeting is just to request a continuation so that it gets it on record, and then it will be August 4th that the meeting will be continued at that date on August 4th. Correct.
So what kind of a meeting is there this evening?
Well, we have other items on zoning examiner public hearing. So we had two cases for this evening. So we have one case that's is going to go forward. The other case is the case that you're asking about on the New Era Homes, but it's the public hearing is going to be open to be continued for August 4th. It's not going to be a meeting of going back and forth for nothing's going to be decided or going that way. It's going to be continued until August 4th. But we have another hearing for another item on also this evening for another case.
So you know what we're calling about. It's rezoning on Tankerverde and Houghton.
Yes, I do. Correct. And that's the case that I'm referring to that's going to be continued on August 4th.
So the continuation is August 4th. So will there be a public meeting?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That is correct. It will be continued to August 4th when there's going to be a zoning examiner public hearing on that date, and this will be a public hearing for this case.
Okay, so there's nothing tonight.
Correct. They're just opening up the meeting to say it's going to be continued for August 4th.
Okay, and what time on August 4th will this be meeting?
It'll be the same time at 6 o'clock in the evening. It will be, there will be an agenda put out on the clerks and be posted on our website, as we have a couple other cases that night as well.
Okay.
I'm sorry
So
for
we'll
the
be able to,
inconvenience.
will we be able to be there in person? I got to tell this to the crowd out here.
No, it's not in person. That meeting will still be virtual.
Really? Okay.
Oh, it's being noticed and everything. Yes.
Will there be arrangements for the people that are not able to do a virtual meeting to assemble?
Well, I think that's what they, when talking to the Ward 2 office, I think that was why people were gathering at the Ward 2 office. So I'm assuming that the Ward 2 will do the same thing as they were intending to do tonight, of open that again to assemble.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I'll follow up with the Ward 2 office to let them know that people that showed up this evening.
Oh, yeah.
I know you probably
There's
will,
quite
too,
a few.
but I'll follow up to let them know that. Yeah, I'll follow up too, though. Okay.
Okay, I'll let them know here. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Mr. Beal. How are you tonight?
Real good.
Great. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's public hearing. My name is John Urino. I'm the zoning examiner for the city of Tucson. We have two cases on the docket tonight. The first is case C9-2203, New Era TV, Tankerverde and Houghton. Mr. Portner, are you present?
Mr. Zoning Examiner, I am. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I understand that the applicant wants to continue this hearing to August 4th. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Zoning Examiner. We've been having discussions with stakeholders, the last of which occurred this morning. We still got several balls in the air that are being juggled on certain issues, and we would very much appreciate the additional time to be able to work those things out. And that would allow me to come forward in approximately 30 days from now and make a much more cogent presentation to you than I am in a position to make here tonight. So we would appreciate the additional time.
Okay, well, that's granted. So we will close the hearing for now, but continue the hearing to August 4th at 6 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Portner.
Thank you, Mr. Zoning Examiner.
The second hearing we have tonight is case C9-2204, St. Mary's and Silver Bell. Mr. Juneman, I see you there. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well, Mr. Urino. Thank you.
Well, welcome. Ms. Perrell, are you going to present the staff report?
No, Carver is going to present the staff report.
My apologies. Mr. Struve, please go right ahead.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Zoning Examiner. This is a request by Lazarus and Sylvan on behalf of the property owner, Holland Real Estate, to rezone an approximately 0.8 acre vacant parcel from R2 to C1 commercial. The rezoning site is in the northwest corner of the intersection of North Silver Bell Road and West St. Mary's Road. The applicant is seeking to construct a drive-through coffee shop and restaurant with outside seating. A cross-access agreement is proposed between the subject property and the property to the west to facilitate access to the subject property via both Silver Bell Road and St. Mary's Road. Additionally, the drive-through has been designed to address any concerns about vehicle stacking. The property is covered by both Plan Tucson and Area 15 of the Tumamoc Area Plan. The rezoning is consistent with both plans, policies, as well as the Area 15 land use map of the Tumamoc Area Plan. There were 0 approvals or protests received for this request, and staff recommends approval of the rezoning.
Thank you, Mr. Struve. Mr. Newman, would you like to be heard?
Yes, Mr. Urino, thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Struve, and thank you, Mr. Beal, for all your help with this. I'm Rory Juneman from Lazarus and Sylvan, 5983 East Grant Road. We represent Holland Real Estate LLC, who's the property owner. The purpose of our rezoning, as Mr. Struve said, was to Basically request the rezoning for this vacant infill parcel. It's at the northwest corner of St. Mary's and Silver Bell. It's a remnant R2 parcel surrounded by C1 and a little bit of O3, which is where the hospital is. We want to rezone it to C1 for a drive-through restaurant, which would be actually a Starbucks drive-through only. It really is an ideal parcel because it's a very small, oddly shaped lot that's at the intersection of two major streets. And the small profile of this drive-through use is really maybe about the only thing that can really fit on there. Mr. Urena, are you all right if I do share some slides?
Yeah, you bet. Sure, go right ahead.
Thank you. Can you see that?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, just to orient you to the property, you're probably already familiar with it, but it's at that northwest corner of Silver Bell and St. Mary's. Both Silver Bell and St. Mary's are arterial streets, and actually Silver Bell or St. Mary's is a scenic route, and the scenic route starts at our property, even though it's not a scenic property. It's just vacant land and dirt right now, but hopefully our project will be able to make it look nicer. North of us is a Walgreens. South of us is St. Mary's Hospital. To the east of us are some small office buildings, and then the Safeway commercial centers on our southeast. And then we share basically a site with the Wendy's, and then a little bit beyond that is a medical office complex. And then around that commercial intersection are mainly single family residential. The property, our property's been vacant since we could track on the aerials, at least 1998. So it really has been vacant for a long time. And hopefully our use will be able to come in and really kind of complete that corner. The current zoning right now, we're really a kind of a donut hole around C1 and O3. It's an R2 zone. There's really no chance of this ever being residentially zoned. It's too small, it's too busy there. And really our use will, I think will be a good use there. The Wendy's was rezoned in about 1984. We think the Wendy's was probably built not long after that. And then the last rezoning in the area was the Walgreens store north, which was in 2011. This site, there've been a couple of initially started rezonings where they did pre-app meetings on this back in 2017 and 18. I think those didn't really go very far because of the uses that they wanted to put on were pretty big. And this is such a small site with a lot of constraints I'll talk about in a minute that those never got off the ground. So I think our use again is the size of it is perfect for this parcel. So we're requesting to rezone to C1 to kind of fill in that donut hole with neighborhood commercial uses, and it allows our drive-through use that we're proposing. Just briefly, Mr. Struve talked about our compliance with the plans, Plan Tucson and the Tumamoc area plan. We're in this area 15 of Tumamoc that essentially says commercial development is appropriate if it's a one-story use. And we are just proposing a one-story use with this drive-through. This is our PDP. I just wanted to walk through a few aspects of our project very briefly. The lot itself is less than 3/4 of an acre. And the site's even squeezed down further because of that. Because we're on a scenic route, we have to do a 30-foot scenic buffer along St. Mary's. That 3/4 of an acre size doesn't include about a little over 6,000 square feet that we'll be dedicating for the Silver Bell right-of-way. We don't have a right-of-way dedication requirement on St. Mary's. Again, the use is a Starbucks drive-through, no interior seating. There will be a walk-up window and a small patio, about 400 square feet. But other than that, really not a lot of on-site customers. The building's only 928 square feet, so really just enough for the employees. We've got 11 parking spaces, which is ample space for the amount of on-site for our employees, and then the very few on-site folks that'll be there. And we will share parking and access with the Wendy's as well. Our concept landscape plan, I just wanted to mention this because the site is, it's considered one site under zoning for with the Wendy's. So we had a few challenges in the landscape tree requirements. And we worked with the Planning and Development Services landscape reviewer to kind of come up with this plan where we focus most of those trees on the center island between the Wendy's and the Starbucks. We'll be redoing that island. We'll be reconfiguring some of the parking for Wendy's there, restriping it. And then our parking will be on the east side of that. So we really focus the landscape trees in that area and meet the requirement of 10 trees. And then along the edge for the perimeter landscaping requirements, we'll have another 10 trees, as long as in addition to some of the lower profile landscaping around the site. So it really should turn out to be a nice addition to this corner. Finally, traffic in circulation, with some of the other drive-through only restaurants around town, that can be a concern. But I think on this site, the way that we've got it designed and the way that the site's sort of shaped, it allows for plenty of queuing. We have an access from Silverbell on the north, and then an access from St. Mary's on the south. Our drive-through lane has about 280 feet of queuing available through the two initial drive-throughs, and then it funnels down into one pickup window, which complies with the C1 code. Within that 280 feet of stacking, we can fit about 14 cars. But if things get busy, we still have quite a bit of room before we get out to the right-of-ways. From St. Mary's, it's about 120 feet of additional queuing, which about 6 cars. And then to Silverbell, there's like 350 feet. So there's plenty of room there. So with our drive-through queuing, we think that's sufficient, but if for whatever reason it's not, we've got plenty of additional space there to keep cars from backing up into the right-of-way. I did want to mention that to our south at St. Mary's is it's kind of a combination bus pull-out deceleration lane that goes to that first St. Mary's exit or entrance. Because of the amount of queuing we have, we don't ever anticipate that there'll be any kind of backup that would interfere with that bus pull-out. We think they'll function together quite well.
So, Mr. Jungman, am I seeing
Yeah.
correctly that you are going to have 2 ordering kiosks, if you will, and then they pass by each other to go down to the window? Is that the deal?
Exactly. And then that is, there was a zoning determination a few years back that said that complies with the C1 drive-through.
Sure, and that should help with the queuing as well, though, right?
Gives us some more stacking space, some more
Right.
queuing space as
Good.
well. Yeah.
Thank you.
We did do a traffic report that we submitted. It showed that about 500 average daily trips. The level of service actually for Silverbell and St. Mary's is pretty good. It's mostly B's and C's. And when our project is built, the level of service remained the same. There was, I think, 2 turning motions that went to a D, but other than that, it really didn't change much. The traffic report also indicated that they estimate about 50% of the traffic to our site will be drive-by traffic that's already using the road. So don't anticipate this increasing the traffic that much. Also, I think with the hospital being to the south, there'd likely be quite a few people that walk over and get coffee or stop by on the way to the shifts to get coffee. So it should be a good location as far as business with the hospital there. Finally, just for neighborhood outreach, we had our formal neighborhood meeting on March 1st. It was virtual and nobody showed up. We did get 1 phone call from an interested neighbor to the west, just really asking about the use, and we haven't had really any input since then. We've reached out to Ward 1, so I think so far there really hasn't been really much concern from the public. Finally, we've read through all the conditions that Mr. Beal provided, and we're agreeable to those. And with that, we respectfully request you to make a positive recommendation, and happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. I don't have any questions. As always, from you and your firm, it's a very well-organized and well-presented case, and I appreciate that very much. And so I'm closing the hearing on, excuse me, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to be heard on this case? Hearing no one, I'm closing the hearing on case C9-2204. Everyone have a lovely evening tonight. Take care.
Thank you.